but we're talking about Bush. And in 2002, it came to the United States' attention that Iran was moving to enrich uranium and built secret nuclear weapon facilities and nuclear power reactors. Even though both countries have a deep mistrust for each other, the Bush administration, they still try to talk to the Iranian regime. And Iran even helped the U.S. by convincing Afghan opposition folks to support who we wanted to be Afghan President Ahmad Karzai. However, Iran still supported terrorist groups such as Hezbollah, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and Hamas. In 2004, a Paris Agreement was signed to the United States, stated it would allow membership for Iran into the World Trade Organization, under new President Ahmadinejad, Iran started its nuclear ambitions again. I mean, as you can see, we've only talked about like 4 presidents. Jack hit on Biden. I don't know if you consider him a president yet. And nothing has been done to curb Iranian efforts. I'm tired of hearing our politicians talk the talk and nothing gets accomplished. But yet we send millions and billions of dollars to foreign aid and basically get nothing in return. Bush administration won international support for 4 separate resolutions in the Security Council, which sanctioned Iranian missiles and nuclear ambitions, and they also sanctioned the Islamic Revolutionary Guard. Iran was cut off from international financial systems. The United States had added military presence in the Middle East and supported our Arab allies and defense systems. So what was the outcome of the Bush administration? Very little. Foreign policy to economic performance, and still didn't have Iran. Still didn't hold them accountable for what they were doing. So again, our politicians just talking the talk and not accomplishing anything. These people in the Middle East have been fighting for thousands of years, as Jack said, and I'm pretty sure we're not going to change their way of life. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. What do you think, Jack?
No, I don't think so. As a matter of fact, I know so. And if we can keep energy independence, we wouldn't have to. Because when Trump put their feet to the fire over there, how many of those countries signed up on that peace deal with Israel? They had no choice. Trump forced them to the table and to sign these agreements because they didn't have any leverage over the United States anymore. We didn't need their oil. We didn't need their nonsense. You know, to go back again, after the Ayatollah took those hostages, we haven't had a U.S. embassy there since. So, the way the United States, up until Obama was the last president to talk to the president of Iran because he's a sucker. And I don't think, my opinion, doesn't support American policy. So he spoke to this man. So our representatives, since we don't have a U.S. embassy there anymore, is Switzerland. And Iran has picked Pakistan as their representative to talk to the United States. Now, the reason why I bring that up is Osama bin Laden, we looked for him for years. He was hiding. And where did we get him? We got him in Pakistan. So, again, here we go. Iran, with their proxy, and now their alleged olive branch to the United States, Pakistan, was keeping one of the world's most wanted men shielded and protected on their sovereign ground. So this is where our leaders bring us. You know, how do you figure that that's right? You know, we spent decades and resources and life and limb to catch this man, and he's caught right in Iran's backyard, Pakistan, who's supposed to be negotiating through Switzerland and the United States.
Yeah, you can't trust these countries. They don't like us. They want to see us fail. So you hit on Obama a little bit, so let's get to him next. He gave Iran $1.7 billion when he was in office, and he said it was a settlement of a decades-old arbitration claim. We'll never know exactly where the money came from because our politicians lie to us every day. I don't know where the money came from, but I think it came from our treasury. In 2015, the United States removed economic sanctions for Iran to surrender 97% uranium. So what does a nuclear what's a nuclear deal? It's an agreement between the Islamic Republic and a group of world powers, Middle Eastern countries, in support of nuclear weapons programs. Iran received relief from the United States and European economic sanctions. So is it a bad deal? Not entirely. Not entirely, because we want to stop Iran from getting nuclear missiles. As long as Iran kept in line with this agreement. But we don't know what Iran is doing. Again, it was designed to stop them from obtaining nuclear weapons, which is a good thing.
Well, the problem with that, it was so porous that the agency that was involved in checking Iran had to give Iran a 30-day notice that they were going to check these plants out to make sure that they weren't enriching the uranium.
Right. I mean, it allowed the United States to monitor these nuclear facilities, but again, 30 days, what could they hide in 30 days?
From a distance.
Right. But Iran still had the power to enrich uranium, which went under the Bush administration. They had 164 centrifuges to 19,000 centrifuges. And 3%, which isn't a lot, but it's still a lot. We don't know exact details of this deal, but we have mistrust of the Iranian leadership, and where this goes, only God knows.
Yeah, we have mistrust in our own government.
Yeah, we do. Hopefully, Iran never acquires nuclear weapons. This deal is bad for the world. We have more than enough countries with access to nuclear weapons, and at any time can be directed toward us, the American people. So we need to do all things possible to stop countries from getting nuclear weapons. I mean, President Obama and his administration feel like they took appropriate steps to keep Iran from acquiring them. But then again, when we don't have energy dependence, we have to rely on other countries for our oil. So what other back deal negotiations are going on? And again, every time a new administration comes into office, it tries to outdo the previous administration.
Well, here we go again. Now, why do you think Iran wants to get a nuclear bomb? All right, they need leverage on the United States, and why they need leverage on the United States. So it goes back into history again. We operate under a fiat economic. We used to operate under the gold standard, which meant that every U.S. dollar you had to be backed by gold, and Nixon got rid of it. Now, the steps that went forward, I spent a week trying to figure out who signed this and how it came to about, and nobody knows. We don't even know the exact year, and it's this. The petrodollar. Iran is trying to get rid of the petrodollar, and what the petrodollar is that every drop of oil that's bought in the world is bought with U.S. dollars. China wants to get rid of it, Russia wants to get rid of it, Iran wants to get rid of it. Iraq wanted to get rid of it and said they weren't going to accept the petrodollar, and that's when Bush went in and started the Iraq War. Not under that guise, but I think deep inside the Oval Office, that was the secret. So after Nixon got rid of the gold standard, somewhere around 1974, we're not sure which U.S. representative was able to accomplish this, but they had signed the agreement for the petrodollar. And if we lose the petrodollar, you see, you had the gold standard, and what happened, why Nixon got rid of the gold standard was because our allies and foes realized that the United States were spending money out of control. So it was obviously not going for dollar to gold. So Nixon said, yeah, well, we'll get rid of it. And he got rid of the gold standard. And then somehow they developed the petrodollar. And that was able to put strength in the U.S. dollar and allow our politicians to continue to spend wildly. And that's why if you read that book from Mark Levin,
The Liberty Amendments.
The Liberty Amendments, he has in there where one of the amendments to the Constitution should be that government cannot spend any more money than what's put in the budget. Now, saying the budget of the United States is a joke. We haven't had a budget since Bush, a true signed budget. So we are spending money. We obviously know we're over $30 trillion in debt. And the reason we are in $30 trillion in debt is because of the petrodollar. That was our fiat. That's where the value of the U.S. dollar is based on petrodollars. And China and Russia are trying to squash that. If that happens, the American economy is dead.
Yeah, so that brings us up to President Trump. And when he came into office, one of the first things he did is end the nuclear agreement with Iran, which he said was insane and ridiculous. The Trump administration believed that Iran still tried to develop its nuclear program, and he stated that Iran deal was supposed to protect the United States and our allies from the illuminacy of the Iranian nuclear bomb, a weapon that will endanger the survival of the Iranian regime. He went on to say that the deal allowed Iran to continue enriching uranium and over time reach the brink of a nuclear blackout. Trump administration again placed sanctions on oil sales, which Iran is currently the number 3 oil exporter in the world. These sanctions were to cripple the Iranian government, but also place severe tensions between the United States and Iran. Critics believe that by placing sanctions, severe sanctions on Iran, lead to a war between both countries. However, in 2019, we didn't have a war, and we were in 2021, we still don't have a war with them. But it did have a crippling effect on the Iranian economy. Trump wanted to stop all any uranium enrichment, so Iran could not possess or build a nuclear bomb whatsoever. You know, Jack and I are here to give you both sides of the story. Our goal is to educate you to be more informed in the political climate. I mean, it really doesn't matter what political party you're from. What does matter is the safety and security of the people. I mean, all administrations, Democrat and Republican, believe they're doing the right thing for their constituents. But we have to ensure that we constituents stand together to show these politicians that they have to consider what we want, not what they want. I mean, each administration should try to make things stronger from the previous administration. However, this does not happen because each administration feels they know more than the other party.
Yeah, well, we are causing confusion all around the world because we used to have new administrations used to come in and abide by what the former administration had conducted. Work towards establishing peace around the world and U.S. interest. So we feel that our representatives that are in office today don't have the interest of the United States first and foremost. I mean, Biden had just done a climate call with these other countries. And if you look at that conference call he had, it was over Zoom. They were all in their own countries. And Biden's the only one wearing a mask. And he was vaccinated. Biden is also the only leader of that country without his flag behind him. Everybody else had their flag of what they were representing. So ask yourself, if we have a party that's in power right now that has the interest of you, your kids, your grandkids, and your country and your livelihood when he does something like that.
Yeah, let's stay on Biden for a second. In his dealings with the Iranian leadership, he stated that he wants to get back into the nuclear deal with Iran. Again, this confuses not only our allies, but the American people. I don't know about you, but we're kind of tired of constant change in policy. We're not really sure what Biden administration will do, but pretty sure it's going to be on the same line as the Obama administration. And of course, Obama has remained silent on what he feels is a great action to take. But his new envoy, Robert Malley, is building a team and reaching out to leaders in Tehran. I guess we'll stay tuned and see what we're going to do. But I don't think where we're going is good. I mean, we need a strong foreign policy where the United States is a true leader. We don't need to apologize telling other countries we're not good people, because we are. We're really good people. We've helped more countries than I can count, and we'll continue to do so. But we can't negotiate with countries that sponsor terrorism and want to destroy our way of life.
Yeah, imagine being a leader of one of these other countries, and now you have Biden in here completely undoing everything that the previous administration did because, well, I don't know why. I mean, why would you take the actions you're taking? Because they're trying to get Iran back to the negotiating table. But if you were Iran, would you go back to the negotiation table? I mean, you know your country's history, and you know what happened in 1953. You know what happened in 1967. You know what happened in 1979. You know what happened in the 8-year war with Iraq. You know what happened through the Bush administration, the Obama administration, the Trump administration. Nobody knows what's going to go on in the Biden administration, including Biden. I mean, he doesn't even know what day of the week it is, unless somebody tells him. I mean, as far as he's concerned, he's still running for Senate.
So that wraps up Iran, starting with just after World War II. And we'll see where it goes with Biden. Next week, we'll talk about either China or Russia, whatever you want, Jack.
Yeah.
Jack's going to go solo next week.
Maybe.
I'll be out of town.
Dennis might be losing a lot of expensive computer equipment.
So we're going to wrap up this week, and I want to end with this. Like I said, diplomacy is on the downswing, and we don't know what it's going to take to get it back. But if we don't stand together, we'll never get it back. It doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat. You've got to be tired of all these politicians, just as much as we are. But look at our Facebook page, United States Constitutional Group. We're starting to build our membership. And like I said, we want to be the biggest group on Facebook. So tell your friends and family and become part of us and stand together with us as a one united group. And like I said, I won't be here next week, but Jack will be here. And Jack, you want to end up?
Yeah, we just wanted to close up with saying where we are. We're about 100 days into President Biden's country, with the Democrats ruling both houses in Congress. So, number one, our good friends in Iran had sent a missile attack on a U.S. military base. So Biden struck back in Syria, again, not in Iran, in Syria. We had the cancellation of Dr. Seuss and Mr. Potato Head when the song named WAP wins Song of the Year. Crime is rising in all democratic cities in the country. The vaccines are going out, but you still must wear 2 masks, cancel 4th of July, and shut down every place, including Michigan. Only one silly press conference was given. I don't believe that was a press conference, but they're calling it. We had the border crisis, China, Russia, and Iran. A new climb in narcotics because there is no border, and the cartels, they're just bringing the drugs over like a supermarket. You know, where's the press? Where's the DEA? Where's the ATF? We have FEMA going down there, but it's still not called a crisis. Still not a problem. And, my scariest question is, why is there still a standing army around the Capitol building that's fenced in? And if this doesn't scream that it is time to demand accountability over these people pretending to be leaders, maybe you should start asking yourself that question. So we have over 400 members on Facebook, but we need to turn those members into listeners of this podcast. So we have people that are listening to this podcast, and if you are listening to this podcast, visit the Facebook page and let everybody know to start listening to this podcast. It's very important. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of work done in it. The work is being done over 2 states, in South Carolina and New York, because Margaret works 24 hours a day. And if anybody's listening that is on our Facebook, Margaret is not going to the tavern with you at 2 a.m. So stop texting, please.
Hey, don't forget this Wednesday night, State of the Union address. Stay tuned and find out what's going to happen. And we'll see you next week at the tavern.